There is a quiet moment in the year when the earth inhales, the long nights of winter loosen their grip, and the first golden breath of spring moves across the horizon. At dawn on the day of the spring equinox, the world stands in perfect balance. Day and night meet as equals. Light and darkness share the sky for 12 sacred hours each. For a brief moment in the turning of the cosmic wheel, harmony is restored. Across the earth, people wake to this subtle shift in the rhythm of life. The sky slowly brightens, black melting into deep indigo, indigo softening into amber and gold, until the sun rises and pours its light over fields, forests, mountains, and oceans. Something ancient stirs within the human spirit as we witness this rebirth of the sun. This day has been honored for thousands of years. Long before modern calendars and clocks divided our lives into measured hours, human beings lived by the language of the sky. The rising and setting of the sun, the waxing and waning of the moon, and the changing of the seasons guided agriculture, migration, ritual, and myth. The spring equinox marked one of the most powerful turning points of the year, the moment when life begins again. For our ancestors, this was not simply a change of season, it was a cosmic promise. After the long darkness of winter, the earth awakens. Seeds buried in frozen soil begin their silent work. Rivers swell with melting snow. Animals emerge from dens and burrows. Buds appear on branches that once seemed lifeless. Everywhere the world whispers the same message: life returns. And humanity, bound to the rhythms of the natural world, answered this moment with celebration. In forests and villages, ancient rituals welcomed the rebirth of the earth. A druid might lift a cup of wine beneath budding trees, offering gratitude to the spirits of spring. In another land, children dye eggs deep crimson, symbols of life, fertility, and the mystery of creation. In quiet meadows, covens gather to greet the rising sun, honoring the sacred balance between the divine masculine and feminine forces of the universe. Across cultures and centuries, the forms may change, but the impulse remains the same: to celebrate the renewal of life. Archaeologists tell us that equinox celebrations may reach back more than 12,000 years. These ancient festivals were often tied to the practical realities of survival, the beginning of planting seasons, the return of animals to hunt or herd, the promise that the earth would once again provide. Yet beneath these practical concerns lies something deeper. The equinox touches a primal chord within the human psyche. The return of light awakens an instinctive joy, a stirring energy that calls us back into movement, creativity, and connection. The earth itself seems to dance with this rising vitality. Even in modern times, echoes of these ancient impulses remain. Spring festivals burst into color and music. Communities gather outdoors. Nature becomes the stage upon which renewal is celebrated once again. In many spiritual traditions, the spring equinox is known as Ostara, named for the ancient goddess of dawn and fertility. Her symbols, the egg, the hare, the blooming flower, all speak the language of new life. The egg, fragile yet powerful, contains the miracle of potential. The hare, swift and fertile, represents the unstoppable force of creation. Together they remind us that life is always renewing itself, endlessly unfolding in cycles of death and rebirth. The equinox also marks a sacred balance. Winter teaches stillness and reflection. Spring calls us back into action and growth. At this moment between the two, we are invited to pause, to recognize the turning of the great wheel of the year and the turning within our own lives. Just as the earth awakens, so too can we. Old habits can be shed like the dry leaves of autumn and winter. New intentions can be planted like seeds in fertile soil. The energy of spring encourages us to begin again. Throughout history, many cultures even considered this moment the true beginning of the year. In ancient Rome, March marked the start of the calendar. In astrology, the sun enters the sign of Aries near the spring equinox, initiating the zodiac cycle with a burst of fiery momentum. It is the season of beginnings, the doorway through which the new year enters. Perhaps this is why the spring equinox has always held such deep spiritual meaning. It reminds us that the universe itself moves in cycles of transformation. Nothing remains frozen forever. Darkness gives way to light. Winter yields to spring. Endings become beginnings. As the sun climbs higher in the sky and the days grow longer, the earth slowly awakens in waves of color and life. Flowers open, birds return. The air carries the scent of new growth. And somewhere, perhaps quietly within your own heart, something awakens as well. The spring equinox invites us to remember that we are part of this living cycle. The same forces that move the stars and seasons also move within us, urging us toward growth, creativity, and renewal. This is the deeper meaning of the ancient rites of spring, not merely the celebration of the Earth's rebirth, but the recognition that we too are capable of becoming new. Every year, the universe offers us this moment, a moment of balance, a moment of possibility, a moment when light returns.